Had a little too much pressure in here. These cruise techs, they like a lot of pressure, and I pressured it up, assuming it would leak a little bit, but it didn't leak, so it was way too high. No bueno. But we're ready to ride. I got Zero Cool with me. Fun little mountain road. Great little spot. So enjoy the ride. It's going to be smooth. Lots to talk about. Lots to discuss. And I'm trying something new today, and I'll let you know if I like it. I'll tell you what it is if it works. Oh, I just gassed up, and my wallet was in my back pocket. That'll make for an uncomfortable ride. Okay. Ugh. Full tank. Let's ride. Passing that concrete truck, that's for sure. It's monsoon season, but no rain today. And I think I'm gonna go and check out the Grand Canyon because it's so clear and nice. Might be a fun little pit stop if I do stop there. I'll send you guys a little clip of that. All these cars will clear up. This happens all the time, and none of these people usually end up on the mountain pass that I'm headed to. We go through a few neighborhoods to get there, and the mountain pass is dotted lines the whole way, high speed run, so even if there are cars, we'll just swoop right past them. Oh, and you know what? I was so busy doing my camera checklist that I didn't. It's windy if you're wondering why my bike is pushing off to the right, but I didn't strap up my helmet. So there we go. She's good now. Today's topic is going to be about the climb that broke me, and it's so common. These things I talk about, you know, a lot of it stems from childhood trauma, which I'm under the impression everybody has, because the trauma itself is relative. The same way a kid might feel when he's being abused and beat by his parents a lot is the same way another kid might feel when, like, her big sister calls her ugly. You know, it's trauma's trauma, and whatever the experiences are that make them different, the one thing that is in common is the emotion that it rises within you and the blocks that it puts on your journey into adulthood. That is one dirty ass truck. The thing is in these mountain towns, you don't want to mess around. You can't ride these streets like you're in the city. There's a cowboy cop with his spurs on, just waiting. They're never in a good mood. I learned that lesson on the 395. I used to live up and down the 395, and man, when those mountain towns hit and it says 25 miles an hour, you better go 25. You see the hawks? These videos never show the birds very well, but those are two gorgeous hawks spiraling in a thermal. That's my good omen for the day. Hawk medicine is very powerful, very abundant. Looks like I'm going to have an amazing ride. And I guess that's my cue that I'll be heading to the Grand Canyon. So funny, you'll be on the 40. These trucks will be going 100 miles an hour. It's insane. I was about to go for it. You saw that. He wants me to pass. Thanks, brother. Okay. Told you guys the traffic would clear up a bit. Sound quality was off on my last video. I've got all the air vents turned off on my helmet. Hopefully that helps. So yeah, the climb that broke me. There was a time in my life when I was hiding behind everything that the outside world saw. My mask. And we've all got a mask. Some are good, some are bad. I was dealing with. I could feel the depression. Depression is not something you overlook. It's like drowning in a dark lake and you don't know what's up and down. And so people who have battled depression will know that there are times when you put a mask on pretend like you're okay, and you can show up and have a few fake smiles, but then your battery drains. I had like an hour battery maybe. I could socialize and be around people for like an hour pretending, and then I'd have to escape because the physical exhaustion of pretending that I was super cool just drained all my energy. My batteries were depleted. Anxiety. I teetered on the edge of a panic attack for decades. Like, I didn't even know that I had anxiety and that I was nearing a panic attack because it was such a constant part of my life. Growing up homeless, I think that night that the DEA came and kicked my door and put me in a panic. I was 12 years old. That panic stayed with me until I was in my mid-20s. Isolation. I felt more comfortable alone, drunk. in college, I was also out clubbing because the other coping mechanism I had was having sex with women, which I think every college kid can say they have the same problem, so I can't necessarily put that on trauma. But I think that the way in which I went about it, binge drinking, picking up girls at the club, one night stands, was part of my disconnection and my trauma. So like all these things are showing up in my life, inside me, internally. And I know they're there, but I don't understand it. I'm too young to understand it. I remember in college, I studied English literature. I did a double major, English lit and business administration. And that was mostly by accident. I wanted to study English and literature because I thought maybe I wanted to be an attorney. And I also was super ghetto from growing up on the streets. And I was from Virginia, so I had this ghetto accent. And I thought English lit would be my saving grace, but then all of the electives I wanted to learn, I had this desire, this eagerness to learn. So when there was an elective that I could take, and it was CPR class, and there was another elective for accounting, as an example, I would take that. And I took economics classes, so I ended up with a business administration degree as well. But the point of that is that my first year in college, I was so lost emotionally and so caught up in my drama and so trapped in my head. My head was disconnected from my body. I was floating around in my head constantly, running ideas and worries and stresses and old stories and new future ones that haven't even happened. And so I took a psychology class. Like, that's how desperate I was to figure myself out. Like, oh my God, maybe if I take a psychology class, I'll understand myself better, because right now I have no idea who I am. And then I take the class, and of course, Psychology 101. All you learn about is fucking Darwin and Jung, how everything in life is a phallic symbol. And all men think about is sex, and a phallic symbol is strength, and blah, 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 which couldn't have been further from the truth for me. I was not in that space. No internal understanding and with no guidance, because my parents were in prison, adults didn't like me, I was a troubled kid. Grown-ups don't like troubled youth, they only like the perfect kids, star athletes. So all I had to give me advice were my other friends. Well, the star athletes and the decathloners, they don't necessarily want to hang out with some poor, drug-addict, fist fighter, drunken mess, So my friends were hard knocks, every one of them. Even in a beach town, college town that I went to, there were some hard knocks out there. The whole town was an MMA town. It was like street fighting changed. Growing up in Virginia, street fighting, it was like you body slam somebody, you try to break their nose, you fight a couple rounds, and then you shake hands, and more often than not, your mortal enemy becomes your best friend. It's just how the streets work. The reason you're enemies is because you're so alike, and once you break that barrier of understanding, you become friends. Then I cruise through. I'm living in Sacramento, NorCal, which is super gangster. We got South Sac, we got the Heights. I mean, it's an easy transition to go from the projects to NorCal. So then we're fist fighting out there, and it's like, know, everybody's throwing haymakers. Nobody knows how to fight. It's just street fighting. You've seen it a million times on YouTube. My college town, San Luis Obispo. You better know what you're doing in that town, because the MMA community out there, you get in a fist fight with the wrong person at the bar, and you're going to be tied into a pretzel in less than 5 seconds. Which I appreciated, because it helped me focus on that part of me, like self-control and being more focused in the fight, not so sporadic. Because I still fought, obviously, because I didn't understand myself, and I allowed my testosterone and my emotions to take over. So back to my solution. So zero understanding around all the wrong crowds, no answers, and the psychology class that failed me. I think Psychology 101 should be ACEs, adverse childhood experiences, and and what they cause. And I think Accounting 101 should be taxes, but that's not how they do it in school. It's weird. I don't know who comes up with the curriculums, but they're garbage. I came out of school better in a lot of ways, more polished, but also dumber. I had to unlearn a lot of that stuff in the real business world. 20 years in business, I unlearned 80% of what college taught me. So the way that I coped was I focused on everything outside of me. Like I said, my head was disconnected from my body. I was trapped in there, and in order to get out of my head and try to understand myself, I thought things like, a pretty girlfriend meant I was doing really good in life. A successful business, making lots of money, a fancy car, a glow up, looking sexy. Going to the gym and building out my chest and my leg muscles and focusing on my health. Taking my shirt off and tanning at the beach, all that stuff that cool people and successful people do. And I tried to trick myself. So my health was good at the time as far as athleticism, but I was in my 20s, so you could still eat like shit and have a six-pack. You could still make stupid decisions and be drunk every night, still have a six-pack, still look good from the hour or two at the gym, because back then you could spend 2.5 hours at the gym on one muscle group. Now it's like, I got 45 minutes, I'm in and out, I want movement. I'm doing exercises with kettlebells and sledgehammers. I'm sprinting on the track with a weighted vest. I'm doing more, more active, healthy fitness than just bodybuilding. But back then I was hiding behind it, and the reason I could spend 2.5 hours at the gym is because of all that anxiety, all that stress, everything I was holding in that was sort of helping me release it. And so I get out of school, and even in school I thought, coming from such a ghetto past, I didn't go to 6th and 7th grade, I flunked out of high school, had to get a GED. I started realizing the error in my ways. So in college, I was a straight A student. That was my focus. And I would do study groups. And I would study before the study group, so I'd be the smartest one there. And it all came from my insecurities and my fears. It wasn't coming from, I thought it was ambition, I thought it was drive. I hid my fear behind drive, which is, I said in a previous video that resilient and calling yourself driven can be extremely toxic when it's coming from a misunderstood place. And so I owned that I was driven. I was going to break the family curse. I was driven. I was ambitious. I was a straight A student. But inside, I was dead. Afraid I'd never make it. Worried I'd be a loser my whole life. Always hoped for more. Would tell myself I was going to be a millionaire. And I even believed it. If I could live long enough that it would happen. But I just never even knew if I'd survive. College, I start my business, put my head down, all I do is work 14-hour days. I build a successful business. I'm just on the phones at 5 a.m. calling the East Coast, on the phones at 8 p.m. calling Hawaii. I mean, I was running hours, taking over every time zone I could do business in. Life outside of work. Every friend I had was a business associate or an employee. Girls I dated came from that pool of people. And it was just a very dark time in my life where I tried to convince myself that because I was making money, I was succeeding in life and I was winning. And I even believed that that was the answer, because I didn't have this beautiful hindsight. And I'm going through all this. I'm like, I just got to get through high school. I just got to get through college. I just got to start this business. Okay, well, those three things together, that's like 12 years of my life. So for like over a decade, I keep thinking that there's this finish line. And as soon as I cross this solid finish line of success, then everything's perfect. The depression goes away, the anxiety's gone. It's all healed. I've healed. And I've accomplished everything I wanted to accomplish. It was amazing. I did get through high school. I did graduate college, and I did start my first business. All on my own with no help and no money. Bootstrapped my whole life. And so I get there. So now we're on the other side of it. Now the business is booming. Got my first house and it's big. Friends are coming over to hang out at my house every day because I've got the nicest house out of all my friends. So my house is the new hangout spot. Girls are showing up every day. It was amazing. I had a brand new, beautiful car. My clothes I didn't do laundry anymore. I had them professionally dry cleaned and laundered. So my clothes were always crispy and nice. And I was just fresh. Silk pants, everything. And I was absolutely miserable. I couldn't face the day. I couldn't get out of bed in the mornings. My alarm would go off and I'd cover my face up under the covers. And I'd lay there wide awake with my eyes closed. Just trying to stay in that peaceful moment for one extra minute. For me, there was this morning twilight where I'd wake up and for the first 5 minutes I was awake, I wouldn't have anxiety. And I couldn't quite identify it as that. I just knew that that was the only moment where I felt halfway decent. I'd go slave through the day, but then as soon as I got off work, I wouldn't even go home. I'd keep my work clothes on because I looked good, and I'd have my fancy gold Rolex on because it looked good. And I'd go to some sushi restaurant or some bar and I'd start drinking immediately, and I would just get absolutely wasted every single day after work. Our relationships were so shallow with people and women. And so it hit me. I woke up one day and I was like, oh my God, I have everything that I've been fighting for, and it did nothing. And then I realized there wasn't a finish line. And then I started panicking even harder, like, wait a minute, what's wrong with me? This didn't fix it. Everything I was doing to fix it didn't fix it. So then it got worse. The depression got scarier. So then I was like, wait a minute, you mean this is going to be who I always am? I'm always going to be depressed. And I'm always going to have this anxiety. And then I did start getting panic attacks. And I mean, intrusive thoughts. And I'd be driving and I'd get this crazy panic attack and this anxiety that was so strong I would just want to swerve into a telephone pole and shake it out of me. And I just would have to go get drunk and fight and have crazy hard sex, like no passion at all, just pound it out. That's the first time I took a look inside myself and realized I had an internal journey to go on. And that's what all of these conversations are about. These conversations are about that internal journey and what it takes, because people always want to get on the other side of the storm, and peace is inside the storm. There's not a finish line, and if you trick yourself into believing there's a finish line, you're in for a horrible rude awakening that a lot of people don't get through. You know, I just read in the news one of my favorite artists, Young Noble from the Outlaws. You know, I loved his Outlaws up in the end with Tupac. He's a little bit older than me, but not much, and he just committed suicide. His mental illness got the better of him. Successful rapper, plenty of money, friends, fame. It wasn't enough. And I'm not saying he didn't try, but what I will say is if he took a look inside and went on that internal journey and found the silence, he may have been able to avoid that. Because Lord knows it saved my life. And I've talked about it before. My first experience with my internal journey, things got worse. I just saw how dark and dirty things were in there. I saw the beast inside me that was clawing out through my chest, raging in there, destroying my insides. And so once I connected my head back to my body and I went inside my body and started really finding that silence, finding that stillness. In the beginning I could sit there for an hour, my brain running, only thinking about problems and troubles, the monkey brain just bouncing around. And for that whole hour I might get 3 seconds of silence and stillness and peace. And that 3 seconds was enough to heal me temporarily, give me something to latch on to. And over time, I found my stillness faster and faster and faster, and then it was 20 minutes, and then it was 5 minutes. Over the years, it's evolved into where I'm in my stillness right now. While I'm cruising on my Harley, talking on moto vlogging with you guys, I'm in my stillness as we speak. It grows inside you, and that stillness is peace. It's pure love, it's happiness, it's fullness, it's everything that I ever wanted to be. Isn't in a business or a bank account or a sexy girlfriend. It's in my heart, in my soul. And the gift I have for the world isn't how pretty I am and how I'm doing better than you or exercises that I use to harness this. If you watch all my videos, you've already gone through the gratitude meditation, you've already gone through the silence meditation, turning your ears into your eyes, and all these great concepts that work. But there's questions that you can ask yourself, there's conversations that you can have with yourself that really help you. That prepares you guys for the internal journey. For the sake of this video, I'm gonna wrap it up for you guys and take a moment when this video ends, or just pause it right now and just take 1 minute to just sit with your thoughts and then ask yourself who's listening to those thoughts, because those thoughts aren't you. You are not your brain. When you die, it's like a pair of headphones. You go to the store, you buy a pair of headphones. Those headphones belong to you. 100% they are yours. But they aren't you. And your brain is the same. You're borrowing it in this life, but you are not your brain. You're the quiet watcher on the outside of it. So close your eyes and hear your thoughts and picture yourself as the watcher. Ask yourself, some things that help separate me from my brain is when I close my eyes and I try to get silent and my brain won't stop, I'll just ask myself, what's my next thought going to be? And then I'll have a thought and I'll just say, what's my next thought going to be? And I'll have another thought and I'll say, what's my next thought going to be? And you'll notice that slowly separates you from your brain and creates that distance. It turns you into the watcher. Do that to separate yourself from your brain. See if you can find some silence in that 1 minute, even if it's only for 1 second.